I'm going to be making a stake flipper out of a railroad spike. Oh. There we go. I just put a ribbon twist in it. That's the kind of my favorite so far that I've made, and it's super easy and less likely to have any issues. So this guy is 12 inches long, so we're going to forge out another one. I'm trying to build up some stock of grill tools, so I have got forks, spatulas, and these steak flippers and some railroad spike knives I'm going to be making for my inventory. And then once I have enough inventory and get my website up and running, it's going to be what I'm selling for now, and it's going to be as supplies last. So today I'm going to show you guys how I forge them out in my LPG forge, and let's get going. Not sponsored. Completely by accident. Although Coca-Cola, if you're watching, call me. So, I got the forge going. We don't need this guy anymore. Take him back. So, I've got my rail spike. Picked up on some train tracks when I was going for a walk. I don't believe this one is made of high carbon steel, but the carbon content's about 40 to 45 roughly. So it does hold an edge. If you do make a knife out of it and you don't do a high carbon steel core like a Samurai, then it's really like a light duty knife. I have one for my shop knife, and every now and then I have to touch it up a little bit, but for opening cardboard boxes and stuff like that, it's awesome. So, but we're gonna pop this guy in the forge and let it start getting warmed up. I made my measurements here on my anvil. So from this edge here to my mark, that's the length I'm going for. So that's 12 inches. So I'm gonna want probably like 14 inches, maybe a whisker more, because I'm gonna have that curl, and I want the curl to be after the 12-inch mark. That way you have long enough handle away from the heat, but it's not too long to where you lose control. So let's get going. I like these bolt jaw tongs the most because I don't damage the head, because I want to keep the head as part of the aesthetics of the steak flipper that we're making. So this gives me a nice distance away, so that way I'm not going to risk hitting that at all until I'm ready. I do have some railroad spike tongs, but they work all right. But I prefer these. I get a lot more of a secure grip. I'm going to pop this guy in the heat. Let that start warming up. What's happening? Thanks for joining. Normally I make videos and then post the whole video, but I just don't have the time to do the editing to make the video, so I'm just going to do it live. But we're making a steak flipper today, and I'm going to do just a simple ribbon twist. But right now we're just waiting for it to warm up. This is the boring part. Stuff you don't see on Forge and Fire. You know, they don't show you all the time in between heats where you just kind of hang out. So yeah, so right now we're just waiting. I have to turn the can away because I'm not sponsored, but I should be apparently. Well, once the forge is warm and it retains the heat, then it's like maybe a couple minutes between heat ups, but right now I just lit the forge, so it's going to take a while for that to get warmed up so it retains the heat. But I have this bike in there to help kind of get it hurried along a little bit. Oh, Coca-Cola is great. It tastes the same whether it's warm, flat, doesn't matter. They got to figure it out. So, what? Yeah, this is the boring part. This is all the stuff they don't show. Like I leave all this stuff out of the videos because, for one, it's boring as hell watching it just waiting for metal to warm up. But yeah. But while that's warming up, I'll show you the progress I've made. So this is the other stuff I'm going to be making. It's a barbecue fork. Let's see if you can actually see it. Hey, look at that. It's got a an attempt at a cube twist. It's not perfect. Let's give the lights actually better so we can see things here. Man, lighting is terrible. But anyway, it's a little cube twist. My first attempt at it. Works pretty good. Have to be really careful twisting this. You have to turn each segment like a quarter of a turn. Make a fleshlight from solid iron. I don't know if that's a typo or not. A flashlight, maybe. But it does help with the grip a lot, and that's why I wanted to put a kind of grip on these, just because that way you maintain control, because while you're grilling, your hands are wet, you don't want you to lose a grip. It does grip really well. These little corners give you something really good to bite onto. And then I just did a reverse twist on this spatula. So I did a clockwise twist here and a counterclockwise twist at the bottom. And I attempted to forge weld this guy on here, but I ended up doing just a couple of rivets just to be on the safe side. And yeah, I do weld. I like MIG welding. It's basically a glue gun of welders. It's really easy. My current shop, I don't have 220, so I can't get my good welder set up yet. So I just have a little 110 Hobart flux core, and that works relatively well. It doesn't quite have the heat penetration I would like, especially when you're welding up a big billet. So it's good for like 1/8 inch steel. So if you do, it works well enough. But anyway, so that's the spatula. Just did a reverse twist on it. Came out decent enough, and then I got this little rail spike knife I'm going to be adding with this little set I'm making. And again, it's a light duty knife, so this would be like for checking your meat while you're cooking it. It's already been hardened to the best that it'll be. I haven't cleaned it up enough to know what the Rockwell hardness is. I haven't put my files on it yet. But and then basically it's the knife is going to look something similar to this guy. This is my shop knife that I made. It does actually hold an edge relatively well. How sharp? Generally, I can get probably like a 50 HRC on them at the very most. But depending on your beveling, you can make it like a razor blade. But and they do make high carbon steel rail spikes, which hold a better edge than the medium or low carbon, which is most of the railroad spikes are low carbon. Generally speaking, I wouldn't say more than 45 at the carbon content, where like your chef knives, like your Wüsthoffs and stuff, are a lot higher carbon content. And those are generally a Rockwell of between like 65 and 68 is kind of where they keep them on. But our rail spike has finally got some color to it, so let's get started. Always wear hearing protection. This stuff is loud, especially when this forges up to like 20 psi for where I need to get to my welding temperatures. It's like a jet engine next to you. So hearing protection. I like these guys. Are the 3M brand, Bluetooth. They work really well. You can take phone calls through them. You can talk on them. It's been really cold out in my shop because it's not insulated, so the batteries die after not using them for a day or two. So it's been on the charger. But they're great for listening to music or podcasts or anything like that. So I'm gonna grab my hammer and start swinging. Using a dog's head hammer today. I got this one from a custom maker in Australia. His name is Sam Towns Bladesmith. You can find him on YouTube, Instagram, and a bunch of other sources I can't name off the top of my head. But it's a lot of fun to use. And with the dog's head hammer, so far I've been using it for a little bit. It moves metal like a beast. This is a 2-pounder, which is a good range for me for all day forging. I like between 1.5 pounds to 2 pounds. That way I can get momentum and get the most out of my heat, and it does look funny. I always thought it looked like Snoopy, but this is an English cutler style, and the Japanese make dog's head hammers as well, and that's a different style, but works really well. So let's go for it. Right now, I'm primarily just going to be working on just stretching it out. I don't like to work them too dark, and with this size anvil, it's also being springtime. It's only like 50 degrees outside, so this is nice and cold. So this really pulls the heat from my project. So I don't like to work steel cold, so when it gets black, I'll throw it back in the fire. Even though it's black and it looks cold, it will still give you 30-degree burns, so always be careful. Got to turn the heat up a little bit. That way, now my forge is getting warm. The bottom I had lined with fire brick. When that fire brick is nice and orange, that's holding the heat for me and reflecting it back into my work. And when the sides are orange, that's when I know that it'll hold the heat. So I'm going to get the most out of my heat. This is true. I also have a couple bottom fullering tools as well. So, but definitely will make it draw out faster for sure. This is the bottom fullering tool that I've been referencing. I have another one as well. Take it out here. It's a Swage fullering tool. Works pretty well. So what's everybody been working on? You got any cool projects or new tools or anything like that you guys been using or making lately? Feel free to tag me in your videos and posts and stuff. I'd love to see whatever you guys are working on. Silly me. I've noticed with these particular spike holders, I've had a hard time time maintaining a grit. That's why I have metal floors. Oh, I like the bolt jaw tongs. I seem to get a way more of a secure grip than those rail spike tongs. Thank you. Yeah, I just barely built the shop. Finally got it up and running. Been building it. This is a new shop. I was working out of a tent, and it was got this whole thing built, and then that's just the 3-burner forge from off Amazon. It was $170. And it came with iso-wool, refractory cement, and the 3 burners. It's got a door in the back, so it's a full pass-through if I want to. Works great. You can use 1 burner. I'm just using the front one right now. And if you really want to, when I do my forge welding, I turn all 3 of them on and crank it right up, and I put a fire brick in the front to help retain the heat, so I don't use so much propane. But been working great. I've always wanted to get into this since I was a little duffer, and I'm like, well, I understand the philosophy of like start small, especially if you don't know if you're really going to be into it. But I was like, definitely want to make a sword someday. So even if I buy a single burner forge or make one, or make a solid fuel forge or something, I could do that always later on. But I'm just like, it was $175, and the single burner was like just over 100. So I'm like, for an extra like $40 more, I get 2 more burners. Okay, so I just bought it, and it was 3 to 5 business days, and it was here. Works great. I lined the iso-wool with refractory cement, and I lined the bottom of the forge with fire brick to help it last a little longer. But eventually, I'm gonna have to replace it, 'cause I mean, they only last so long. That's freaking hot. So, but I think we finally got some heat. Go for another round. Got about 4 inches to go, and we have our base length. I like a little thicker of a handle just because I got bigger hands. So at about 4 inch, I'm going to make a 4-inch handle where my ribbon twist is going to be, and then I'm going to stretch and taper the rest of it out. So far I got about 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch for the handle, and pretty consistent width. I just got to shrink up by the head a little bit more, but I need another heat for that. And I'm doing the same thickness on each side, down 4 inches. That way the ribbon twist is consistent, and it's going to feel consistent in your hand. I like the ribbon twist. It looks a little fancier than the standard, just spinning it around. And I always thought it kind of looked like a soft serve or a creamy, Dairy Queen or something, when they pour it into your cup. I always called it the ice cream twist until I heard it was actually called the ribbon twist, but 100 names for the same thing. Always keep water in your shop, especially in the winter time when you're not really sweating. Like right now, it's, wait for it to cycle here. It's 70 degrees in my shop right now, so it's comfortable. But in the summer here in Maine, if I'm forging and it's 80 degrees outside, it'll easily be 130 in here. So even though you don't feel like you're dehydrated, you might be. Alright, so to make sure I have the handle length I want, I'm making a mark of my handle, 4 inches. So I've got my 1 foot drawn length. Your tongs are also hot. Try not to grab them by the the dangerous end. And the hammerhead will get hot too, so be careful with that, especially for forge welding. Along with your hardy tool. Just plan on everything being hot. Okay, so I got my handy tape. So from my shoulder to here, that's my 12-inch mark. And I'm going to do 4-inch handle. So I'm going to come off here because I'm holding my handle end. So I'm going to come off this side. Come up 4 inches. And that's for my handle. My handle's going to be here. And the length of the shaft of the stick flipper is going to go from this mark here to my shoulder. And I'll have to update these as I go. Well, I've used soapstone before, but sometimes it gets wiped off a little too easy. And especially if you add the forging right on top of it, it's going to be gone in one heat cycle. So I found the Sharpie stays a little longer, and a little bit of acetone and I can get rid of it, or an Expo marker and then wipe it off, so, or just wait for your work to burn it off. And if you spend a whole day forging, the surface of this is going to get really hot. This is a 132-pound anvil, so it's got a lot of mass to try and heat up. So it's going to be it's a huge heat sink, which is why your heats will take a little less. You'll get a little less out of your heats, especially at the beginning of forging for the day. So after it pulls away all the heat, when this thing becomes saturated with heat, now is above that cold temperature, the top will hold heat longer, and these corners can burn you because it's a small surface area. When it just touches you, sometimes it's all it can take. We got some orange. Now, mark my handle. I'm going to take this end here, put it out my 4-inch mark, and then I'm going to tap where I need to stretch out, which is my handle, the end of my handle. And that leaves a line in my piece. Now I have when it cools off, I got a scratch line there, so I know not to come this way too far. Once I know where that mark is, I can roll it. So now I have it all the way around. Now I've got a nice little mark all the way around. So now as I turn, I don't lose my place. We got about 3 inches to go. Move the phone away from the heat a little bit because, as you know, cell phones don't like being too hot. So now you get to look at me instead of fire. I apologize for that. But when we get to our ribbon twist, got our leg vise here. This is just a 4-inch jaw leg vise. Been in the family for a while. So I'm going to put my piece in the vise here, and then I'm going to cut grooves, one on each side, with my angle grinder. This is just a regular cut-off disc. I picked up at your local hardware store. Really cheap. You usually get like a pack of 10 of them for like $12. So they work really well. But almost one. Might have to plug you guys in, so that means an extension cord, because I didn't put an outlet closer to my forge. So my anvil's here, you guys are right here on that block, and the nearest outlet is right there. And my charger for my phone is not that long, and I like you guys to be able to see what I'm doing, because I don't want you too far away, but I don't want you too close either. So we'll need to find, I have a 100-foot extension cord, which I don't need to use, but that just might be what it has to be right now. I thought I had a smaller cord in here, and I haven't been able to find it. I don't know what you belong to. Oh, I had a bunch in here. I don't know. So you might have to just move a little closer. We got some heat now. Let's change it up a little bit. Get you guys to actually see some stuff happening. All those sparks, that's the scale that it's the scale that develops on the surface of your work where the oxidization process has begun. Smooth scale. Well, hopefully you can actually see what's happening. Ooh, it's warm. Water. I am definitely out of practice because on a good month I can only get out here for 4 days because like most of us, I have a full-time job on top of this hobby, and also being a parent and homeowner, and just you have to make time, and it's been hard to make time. I've had too many priorities coming up. So what's everybody been working on? Anything fun? Anything cool? Throw it down in the comments. Tag me in a picture.
or a video. I'd love to see what you guys are working on, especially to all of you experienced blacksmiths and bladesmiths and metalworkers. I haven't been doing this for that long. I love it, and it's a lot of fun, and I like making things. But I would love to hear from the people who know what they're doing, and feel free to share your tips and stuff you guys like to do and like to try. We got some more heat. And it wiggles a bit. Let's adjust the lighting. A little better? Oh yeah, we'll be able to see color a lot better. That's why I set my lights up where they're linked together, but they're individual. So especially when I'm trying to heat treat something, I can see my colors a lot better. Yeah, you see that, those black dots on there? That's slag scale starting to build up. Scrape that stuff off so it doesn't change the surface of our work area, so we get nice smooth marks. As I'm forging, you'll see sparks flying off it. That's the scale coming off. About 2.5 inches. Woo, it's toasty. 75 degrees. We're gonna open the door. Let some of that air in. Whew. The other thing to be careful too, when using LPG burners inside, they take the oxygen out of the air in order to make the fire. So make sure you have an open air source, like a window, a door, or some kind of ventilation system to bring fresh air into your workspace. This is a pretty big volume of space, so it takes a while, but you'll have a weird taste in your mouth, almost metallic-y, and like your eyes will water a little bit. It'll get a little harder to breathe. You'll feel like you can't quite get your breath. That's because there's less oxygen in the air that you need to breathe. So what you need to do is get a fresh air source. If you start feeling like that and you feel lightheaded and dizzy, go outside in the fresh air, drink some water, sit down, keep your low heartbeat, get your breath back. In my shop here, I've got a heat exchanger on the ceiling above the forge, and it's on a thermostat right here. So you can set the temperature. So when that thermostat reaches a certain temp, it kicks that on to pull the heat up and out. And then what that does, it creates a vacuum. So when I have the door open, it pulls clean air, fresh air in, and gets like a cycle going. So you have a breeze. I also have a little Ryobi fan up here, battery powered. plug a battery into it. I can have air blowing on me so I can cool down. And then in my grinding room, I have another vent system right here. This little 6-inch dryer vent. It's on a speed dial, so that can suck air out and like dust can go outside. We got some more heat. Try not to make you seasick. Thank you for bearing with me on my bad camera work. See those dark spots? That's scale. Don't want that on there. Always stuff wrong. Me again. We're gonna move you guys a little closer. Get the phone. I don't want the phone to get too hot, shut off halfway through this. That'd be frustrating. And I do have my fan I can put on the phone too, but I don't want it to interrupt what you guys can hear. Get you plugged in here. Bear with me. That's trouble with live. You're at the mercy of reality. Like all this stuff, you wouldn't be seeing this in a regular video. This is all the boring stuff. Technical difficulties. Who knows what's. That's better. Water. Ready to start taping our curl. Want my dimensions relatively the same. I'm doing a brute to forge finish where I'm just going to clean it up with a wire wheel and not grinding on it except to make the sharp point. But I can always do that with a hand file too, which is typically what I like to do. I feel like I have better control over it. Awesome. One more heat, we'll have to lang. It also takes longer, but you have to explain things as you go because you're teaching somebody. So it's always going to make it take longer. So like right now, we've been at this for about an hour. And if I wasn't dealing with the camera, moving the phone around, worried about production and the lighting and all of that, I would have it forged out a lot quicker, maybe 15 minutes or so faster because of the little odd stops you have to do. Plus, take a break, don't get too wore out, do your stretches, stretch your forearms out, you know, stretch your shoulders, your back, your hips, reach down, touch your toes or whatever, because you got a firm grip on the handle, so you're constantly under tension here, flexed. Your arms are going to get sore. Same with your tong hand. You're going to have a good grip. So you're going to really work your forearms out, plus swinging the hammer. Make sure you have good form, good rhythm. You don't try and overdo too much. Keep a steady, easy pace. It's easier on your shoulder and your elbows. Have our length. So now, next heat, we're going to start tapering out the point so we can make our curl. Bear with me again, I'm going to scoot you guys right up to the anvil so you can see what it looks like up close, making a tapered point out of a swam. So that point we made, I'm going to continue to draw out until we have the right length to make our hook around. So what I want to do is where it leaves the shaft, I want it to be able to come around to 180 degrees. So the point is lined up with the bottom. That way, when I set it down, it'll be the hook and then it'll be the head. So let me show you. So when I set it down on a flat surface, the hook lines up with the bottom of the head. So it sets on the table like this. And it just sets down and stays there. So then it's easy to pick up. And you don't dull the hook by setting it down on the top of something. Hello! Thanks for watching. We're making one of these today. We're doing a stake flipper out of a railroad spike, and we're putting a ribbon twist into it. So far, we have the main body, main shaft stretched out. We have our handle dimensions made, and we're starting to taper out our hook. So what we're doing, we're lengthening the shaft for the difference of this hook, and then we're going to taper it out to a nice point. And then we're going to fold it at 90 degrees, and then we're going to get this guy cooled off, get it cooled off, and then we're going to prep for our twist. Hope everybody's enjoying their day. Pardon me, I gotta plug in the phone. Come on now, please, Crow. Can you tell how low budget this is? Anybody can do this stuff. My old anvil stand, I had a spot to hang my hammer, so I'll probably put one there because I kind of missed that. I didn't. It was just a piece that, you know, Schedule 40 PVC and a little ring with a screw through it. It was alright, but I couldn't drop anything hot in there because I break the damn thing. Or melt it. I wonder who the first person was to think of making a steak flipper. One day sitting on the campfire, like, I'm tired of dropping my stick into the fire because it burnt off and I lost my food. Hey, good to see you. I was just asking the question of who was the first person to make a steak flipper? You know, I see it like a couple people hanging out by a fire, having something to eat, cooking their game, and the stick burns off, it breaks, and they lose their food. And wonder who the first person was like, I'm done with this, whether it was a man or woman. Like, I'm sick of this. I need something metal that I can hold on to, protect my hand from the heat, and not have my steak fall in the fire. Somebody just got sick of it. But we're up to heat. All right. So I'm really happy with that length. We got about, 14 inches. We're gonna straighten it out. And then I'm going to, I want like a smooth shaft. So at the base of my handle here, I'm going to just round these edges over just with a tap. So it stays mostly square, but there's no corners. So I don't want there to be a chance of anybody getting stuck by like a burr or something, because I'm not going to grind anything on here. So I don't want it to be dangerous at the same time, you know what I mean? So I'm going to taper this point out, get the length, get it finalized for our shape, because once we curl it, can't really forge the inside, can't really get to the inside of that curl. So I'm going to make sure I get this nice and round and get my point refined, and then we'll bring you guys up close and we can make the curl. It's important to keep your anvil top clean, especially if you want really nice finish work and you don't really care if it's rough. If you care how rough it looks, then you're going to want to make sure you keep your anvil clean, because that scale, when it cools down, it's harder than the material you're working with. So it's going to dimple the face of it. You won't get a nice smooth face. So I want to make sure between your work, you clean off your anvil, whether you have a rag, a glove, or if it's cool enough to touch still, use your hand. But if whoever's watching this channel, you guys have done this, odds are good. So your hands are really calloused. So a quick brush, you're not even gonna notice. I'm working on it. So what I'm doing right now to sell stuff, I'm gonna start with barbecue stuff. Just that way I can get an inventory, because I can make them relatively quick. Because I don't want to put something on my website and say, hey, it's for sale, but I have one of them. So it doesn't really allow the opportunity for people to find it. So I gotta get my website built, which I have a guy working on that. We're gonna be getting together here pretty quick to get that going. And then when I'd like a dozen to be able to be like, here you go. So that way it gives you a chance to be able to find it. And then when they are available and everything is official, I'm gonna post it here on my YouTube channel, and I'm also gonna post it on my Instagram, which is Alan Steele. It's the same name. So, and then eventually I want to get to selling knives, but what I'll end up doing first, it'll be mostly rail spike stuff, because I have literally a 5-gallon bucket full of them. So I have a lot of material. So I'm gonna make stuff like this, just light duty knives, and any of the knives I do make, I'm gonna send with a sheath for it out of Kydex, because I have the equipment here to make Kydex sheaths. And then eventually, when I get higher, when I feel that the material, I don't want to give you a knife that's gonna be, I'll hold an edge or it's gonna break on you. So when I'm satisfied with the minimum requirements to sell something, as far as like a knife or a tool that needs to perform, then I'm going to make Kydex sheaths for those. I could make some leather, they just take too long, and hell yeah, that was what my thought was for when I go out in the woods or something on my hunts. So I made a knife last year, but I ended up giving it away at a program we do through our hunting channel called Hunt Stock. The boys usually go to the New York one. My little girl's birthday isn't the same weekend, so until she's able to go with me, I stay home for that. But the one in August is down in Massachusetts, here in the U.S., so that's the one I go to. And then on that show, I want to give back to that hunting community, so I'm going to do a free raffle of this kind of stuff, whether it's stuff that's applied to hunting or camping. So like barbecue, like a spatula, or the steak turner, or a fork, or rail spike knives, or anything like that. So I'm thinking about making a whole barbecue set, and then once I get that refined, those will also be for sale. But won't bore you with listening to me anymore. Let's get back to forking. Definitely need to make a holder for that hammer. Me being right-handed, if I dropped it down right here in the corner next to the horn, I wouldn't have to reach over my anvil and over my work. So that's not quite the safest setup. So right now, I'm just smoothing up the face a little bit, get rid of the real high parts. Taps to get rid of some of them hills and valleys. I want the hammer work in there, but I don't want it too aggressive. That way it doesn't hold water. Because if you set it down, because this is carbon steel, it will rust if it's not dry and taken care of. I just realized you probably can't hear me over the hammering. Now that we got her relatively straight, I'm going to put it back in the heat, and we're going to prep our mandolin on the anvil so we can taper the point and make our curl. But yeah, waiting on heat. And again, when you're not filming, this stuff goes a lot faster, because like a lot of times while I'm sitting here jaw jacking with you guys, that's already up to temperature, and now it's just slowly burning. So you that's one thing you gotta be careful with when forging steel. If you're leaving the heat too long, you could get red short, or it could crumble and just fall apart, or it just builds up a massive amount of scale and you lose that much more working material. Like right now, it's already orange. I don't know how long it's been orange for, but because it's such a small area, I'm heating up and bringing back to critical temperature to its plastic state where it's valuable. It doesn't take as long. Smaller the metal, faster to heat up. But I'm gonna make sure it's all tapered out, and one last heat to check everything, and then we'll throw the mandolin in, set you guys up, and we'll make the hook. Alright, now we're going to prep for making our hook. So I have my mandolin cone. It's about 1/4 inch at the top, about 3.5 inches at the base, and a 1 inch shank going into 1 inch hardy hole. It's a little bit bigger, that way it doesn't get stuck in there. But which means you have to hold it to one side with your work, so you have something to push against. That's the only thing. So I'm thinking about making a shim just to eat up some more of that space. But it's got to be something fireproof, because if it's wood, it's going to get hot and it could burn. And one less thing to have to worry about, you know what I mean? I don't need fire in my shop unless it's contained. So, without further ado, you know, it'd probably be easier if I unplug it from this end. Bear with me. Sorry for the shaking. Trying not to make you guys throw up. How's that? Not too bad? Can you guys see well enough? Let me know and I'll move it. Cool. All right. So for this one, I'm going to put my dog's head hammer away. It's a little big for what I need. When I say big, I mean heavy. I'm going to grab my little 1-pounder, because I have a lot easier for finesse, for control. Plus it's centered, so I can eye it a little better. Once I get my palms to cooperate. The brighter that it is, the easier it is. The brighter the color, the easier it is to manipulate. Got a little
cold shut on the end, but it's fine. So we're going to grind it off. Just has to be a point. Okay. Get her back up to temperature, and then we'll shape this thing. If you want to widen your hook out, you move it down the cone. I want to shrink that up a little bit. You can always set it on your anvil once you get it started. Not too bad. I'm gonna round it out just a little bit more. We'll do one more heat just to get the shape finalized. Then we're gonna bend it at a 90. Now it's getting warm in here. I shut the door. It's 80 degrees. Hopefully you guys aren't getting hot up there. You're pretty close to the forge. Hot now. All right. Let's do it. That's pretty good. There's our hook. We'll make her a little tighter. That's better. There. Okay. Now we're going to bend it. I don't need this guy anymore. I'm going to stick with the little hammer. Have a good one. Thanks for watching. I'm going to stick with the little hammer because I don't need to really stretch the steel out. I just need to manipulate it. So if it's lighter, I can control it more dexterously. Excuse me, I can control it with more dexterity. So I can maintain a certain rhythm a lot better with lighter weight. You can do it longer too. But we're ready. You guys, so you can see. Finalize my curl. About there. I'm going to go where the tip is. now we're gonna twist. But not that one. We're gonna speed this up a little bit. We're gonna twist this ribbon handle. So, make sure it's not hot, it's been next to my forge. That's warm. So I took the angle cutter and I just cut some grooves down each side. And that is gonna give us our texture and our twist. So we're gonna put this guy into the heat while that one's forging. We'll have two pieces going, now at the kind of the same point. And we'll make this handle. Well, this one's also a fork, I just realized, a stick flipper, so I have to finish the point. And I want to do that before I do the twist. And the handle, that's supposed to be last, just because your tongs will mar it up when it's hot. But I could let it cool down. Let's just do it. What's the worst that happens? I have a really fancy wand. That'd be kind of cool too, make a Harry Potter wand. Woo. We have biceps for days. Wow. This guy's ready. Final straightening. And we might just do a plain twist because we are doing a live video on this. Although the ribbon twist does have a better look to it. Do all my final straightening with the vise too, because it's all relatively the same dimensions, so there's not really any taper. I can also use the bat at the end to taper too, which is fine. But we're gonna let this guy cool down, and then we're gonna do a ribbon twist in this one too. So while this is going, we'll have that going. And I'm gonna put this outside so it can cool down slowly. I don't want it to crack. I'm still here. just a little bit more because I don't think we're really with the length. Yeah, I like it a little longer. So I'm going to stretch this out a little bit more, get a little more out of it, kind of push that length a little bit. We're pretty fat up here too, so I can get as close as I can. Let's see if that guy's cool enough to pick up. A little help from Mother Nature. It was snow. So now it's cool enough. We can put our lines in here with our angle grinder. I'm going to do one more heat, and I'm going to shut my forge down for a little bit. So I don't waste fuel while we're not over there working. We got this little guy's last heat we're going to work on for a minute. While that one's cool enough. Go back to Snoopy. Bye. Sorry about that, went and hit you with a hammer. Now you can't say you've never been hit by a hammer. That's what I get for putting the camera so darn close. That almost happened again. Goodness. All right. Chill our forge out. There. Calm the forge down a little bit. And I'm going to throw a fire brick in front of it. Help keep my heat. We're still going to be using it. I want to retain the heat because we're still going to put the twist in our steak turner. So right now, I'm going to move you guys over there. So that way I can show you putting the grindings in. Got too much stuff going on. This is always the stuff you never see behind the scenes. Getting cameras set up and moving stuff around. So we got our rail spike and our leg vise right here. So I'm going to take my soapstone and my measuring ruler, and we're going to mark out 4 inches. That's where our grooves are going to stop and where our twist is going to end. We'll do that all the way around. Do it now, so I don't have to try and guess as I'm grinding. We can just scoot right along. And again, we're doing a brute to forge finish, so it's gonna look rough and rustic. Not doing any grinding. I want to leave my hammer marks in there. I want it to look like it was made by hand and not some high production in a factory. And that's just to mark the end of our cut line. And as always, safety. Can't stress that enough. Right now I'm just trying to get some extra light set up for me. But it's not really cooperating today. There we go. That way we can see a little better. So, headphones, eyeballs. Some would say this is like the bare minimum, you know. But it's gonna be throwing some pretty good sparks. I don't really feel like burning the hell out of my hand for nothing. So I got my gloves, and I'm gonna give me a rough line so I don't lose track. I want to try and keep it in the middle as much as I can. That way the twist looks even when it comes around, as close as it can to being even. There. Go all the way around. We're gonna hit it with our grinder. For that, I'm gonna move you guys down here. Sorry. This is typically why I don't like doing live, just because you guys will get seasick. Just unplug it. They don't have to be very deep. Just enough to make a corner. I like to go just over 1/16.
Oh, look at that. I'm sure you guys caught that. You didn't do all 4 at the same time. Kind of see all the sparks going right by my glasses. That's why I like to use the lines just to help keep me on track. This one's gonna be a lot shorter just because I don't want to scuff this all to hell. But you'll see. We have our grooves. There we are. That's our prep work for our ribbon twist. So we're going to stick this guy in the forge and get the handle hot. For a second I thought someone was calling me, interrupting us. Which is always how it goes, isn't it? So, I'm going to get prepped. I'm going to get you guys plugged back in. So the next thing I'm grabbing before I get the forge fired up, I'm gonna grab my twisting wrench, which is just a cheap adjustable wrench, and I welded some rebar onto it so I can have a good grip. And this is centered, so it's the same. This is the same length of rebar as the handle. That way, this is centered. And I just painted it up with some high heat paint, just to help it out, because there are moving parts right here, and as things heat and swell and shrink and twist and move, I want it to last as long as I can. But again, this was a $5 wrench at Harbor Freight, and it's been holding up very well. So we'll have that guy prepped, and before I get my rail spike heated up, I'm going to adjust this space here so I don't have to try and do it with my hands. I don't want to burn my fingers. So we're going to get as close as we can so we can just slide it on and twist, because we want to have it twisting while it's at the hottest we can keep it. Because that means the steel is as malleable as it is. It's only going to get less so as we get it away from the heat. And when it comes to twisting, you're doing a lot of changes in the structure of the steel. So it could make a weak spot, you could crack it, you could twist it right off, which I've done before. Actually, I have an example of that. While I'm thinking of it, when you twist it right off, it doesn't take much, and you could snap it right off. And if you've done any work with nuts and bolts, when you strip the threads and it just spins, how you go from resistance to none, you feel it in this. But I was making an attempt at a dice twist, and I just did it like I would a ribbon twist. I grabbed on the top, viced the bottom, and twisted it. Well, where it cooled down the quickest was right here, and it went and just twisted right off. So with a twist like this, you have to twist each individual cube a little bit, heat it up a little bit, so you make a full rotation. That way it's staggered. Anyway, so we'll get the forge fired back up. We'll get the handles in there so we can start warming them up. These fire bricks are hot because they've been keeping the heat back. So I'm going to pull one off so I can light it. And I'm going to stick this onto that, because this will pull the heat out of the fire brick, and I won't be so much of a heat sink for this. Remember, everything's hot all the time. Tongs or gloves or pliers, something, so you're not touching it with your hands. When you're in a blacksmith or bladesmith shop or metal shop, assume everything's hot and everything will burn you. Same with your hammerheads. The hammerheads here, when they make contact with the steel, every time they connect, it absorbs some heat. So these could burn you too. Your tongs are even worse because they hold the metal and it draws the heat into your tongs. And this end goes into the fire, the business end. So your tongs are always hot too. So having a hot table is really nice. Someplace you can set down something hot and it won't burn anything, won't fall, won't roll off. My forge stand was an old automatic saw blade sharpening base, and the motor and stuff was all in the bottom and all that, but it was all metal because it needs to hold water, because it was a water cooled system. So I just tore that thing apart from my old business. I had a sharpening service, so I tore that whole thing apart, and that's my new forge bench. But it's a little big. I can't quite. It takes up a lot of room, so I'm going to make a smaller one with a hot tray underneath, so I can put down something underneath it if I need to. And then that's going to be my new hot table. I'm going to have it on casters so it can get out of my way. But, yeah. Let's get this fire rolling. And the forge has lost some heat, so it's going to have to heat back up. But it'll be a lot faster than when you guys first got here. That took forever. So, assuming everything's hot, got this guy here. We're going to heat this end up, and then we're going to stick in our vise, and we're going to make the ribbon twist, and then we're done. We're finally done. You guys can finally get rid of me. Now, everything's made of metal in here. Anything that comes in contact with tools or supplies, like the project, it's metal. That way I can just set it down. I don't have to think about, will it burn on this part of the table if I set it like this, which is what's so great about a hot bench. Then I have two kinds of wire brushes. Just have one of these, any welding supply shop, and then a block brush. This to get better push, and you can really clean up scale. This works well, but I like to keep it because for those tight areas, so like inside the hook or inside the fork or any little tight spot, you can get in there and get some of that scale off there. And this is really good for giant surfaces. And I put little arrows on top because you push in one way, so because all these little tines are slowly bend this way. So if you need to be really aggressive, you spin it around, and the bristles fight against what you're getting after. So you can really hog material if you need to, if you've got a really scaly spot. And then this is just for gentle, quick wipes, nothing crazy. And I keep those on the floor. Okay, so while that's heating up, we're gonna go over here. Woo! Figure out a good spot for you guys to see this twist. Sorry, my tools blend in. Fan just kicked on, so I need you set up right here. So when I'm spinning it, I have to hold it like a T-wrench and spin. And I don't want my hand passing in front of the camera, so I'm trying to figure out a good height for you guys. I don't want you to miss anything. We have two, so if you don't see the first one very well, we can always set you back up. But trying not to have this be too boring for you guys. Tell me if I'm doing a horrible job, please, and I can either stop bothering you or I want this to be educational and entertaining at the same time. So that's a little too close. And of course, I'm in a big hurry to get out here and start working in my shop, that I have so much crap everywhere because of course, it's in between seasons right now, so it's coming into spring, but here in Maine and most of New England, we have mud season. So I can't really get to where I need to get to get a lot of this stuff out of here because it doesn't belong in here. But I have to tear down my old shop, and that's a mess. So again, I apologize. Bear with me. This is all the boring stuff you guys don't have to watch in videos. All the behind the scenes. Oh, sorry. All the behind the scenes stuff. You don't see all this prep time and messing around. That's why you get nothing done when you film. It's been almost an hour and a half, and we're just getting the ribbon twist. That's pretty good. Okay. Sorry about all the movement. Finally getting warmed up. And I want to be able to see as much as possible. So we're going to have to do some lighting work. Want to be able to see as best as we can. So we're going to have to do some lighting adjustments. This one's actually a little too bright. There. Now we can see. Crack the door just a little bit so I don't trip. There we go. Okay. Got a wrench. Let's make a ribbon twist. I want to make sure I got a good grip in the vise. I'm going to have to do another heat again. So I need to get another, well, that's a full rotation. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to heat lower down here so I can turn the fork in the orientation that I want. So I'm going to have to flip this whole thing upside down. We're going to get that cleaned off. And ribbon twist. And we'll let it cool down a little bit. We'll get in the light and you can see what it looks like. It's pretty cool looking. While you do that, while you make sure that doesn't go anywhere, I'm going to prep over here. Don't do that. There. All right. Now we can give you a look-see.
Remember, this can still burn you even though it's not red anymore. I'll set it up on the anvil, take a peek at it. Once I throw out the floor first. Alright. Spin you around. Here we are. Our steak flipper. Got our ribbon twist. Got our hook. All it's left to do is finalize our positioning. I'm going to spin the hook around one more time. I'm going to spin it to 180 degrees. That way the bottom of the head and the bottom set of the tongs is lined up. So that's it for that guy. And there it is. A little bit of a final twist to make sure the orientation's right, and we have our steak flipper. This is basically what we're going to end up with. We have to spin this hook here so it's the right orientation with the head. So that way when it sits on the table, it sits like this and won't roll. And then we have to make the point. I just use that with a flat file. Simple. But that is it. That is forging a steak flipper. Step by step, the whole show. And it's actually how to make a steak flipper and film yourself doing it. And filming your project. But I want to thank you guys for watching. Like, subscribe, hit that little bell so you don't miss these videos and my live moments. And basically this was the end goal. There it is. Got our ribbon twist and our nice pointy hook for flipping our steak, our chicken, whatever you want to have on the grill. So there it is, guys. How you make a steak flipper. I want to thank everybody for watching. I know we already did this, but I lost my place. So like, subscribe, comment on everything I did wrong, everything I did right, what you like about it, what you hate about it. Let's talk, because I'm only going to improve and I'm only going to get better. And if this video is absolutely boring and atrocious, write down exactly where it started in the comments. So look back through and be like, hey, you started to suck right here. And if it's at the beginning, fair enough. If it's at the end, fair enough. Let me know, because I want to do better videos for you guys. I want to make cool stuff. And any tips and tricks and pointers you have, please throw it in, because everybody's going to benefit. But thank you for watching. And when I have an inventory ready to go, and when my website is up and running, then I'm going to post about it and let you guys know. So if you want in on any handmade by Allen Steel stuff, it's first come, first serve. I'm not doing commissions just because I don't have the time, because I wouldn't want it to be a year and a half before I get you your stuff. So I want to make sure I'm fair to you guys. And eventually, when I take this full time, which is my retirement plan, then I will let you know. And when I'm full time, then I'll start taking some commissions. So, but that probably won't be until a few years. But thank you guys. Take care. I love all of you. Have a great weekend. And as always, when you're out, keep the forges lit and the anvil singing. Take care, everybody. Appreciate all of you. Bye.